The Middle East is really at a critical crossroads right now. Tensions are simmering, the stakes have, never been higher, and the whole world is focused on one single powerful question.
So let's just get right into it. Could Iran, a country that's facing all this immense international pressure, actually win a war against the combined power of a regional superpower and the most powerful military on the planet? Well, the answer, it's a lot more complicated than just a simple yes or no.
To really get to the bottom of this, we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the conventional military might on each side. Then, we're going to dive deep into Iran's unconventional strategy. After that, we'll explore the wild cards, the things that could change everything in an instant. And finally, we'll ask the big question: what does victory even look like in a fight like this? All right, first up, let's talk about the raw numbers and the hardware. This is the traditional way we measure military strength, right? Just comparing armies, navies, and air forces head to head.
And look, on paper, this isn't even a close fight. The United States and Israel, they have just overwhelming air superiority. We're talking fleets of advanced stealth fighters, bombers, and intelligence-gathering capabilities that are second to none. Technologically, they are light years ahead. So from a purely conventional view, Iran is at a massive disadvantage.
However, and this is a huge however, modern warfare isn't decided by just counting up jets and tanks. See, Iran knows it can't win a conventional fight. And that's exactly why it has spent the last 4 decades getting ready to fight a very, very different kind of war.
And that brings us to Iran's master plan. Its asymmetric strategy. The whole idea here isn't to match its enemy's strengths, but to go after their weaknesses.
So what even is asymmetric warfare? Well, think of it this way. Instead of 2 heavyweight boxers trying to outpunch each other, it's more like a nimble fighter using speed, surprise, and totally unpredictable moves to wear down a much stronger opponent. It's all about changing the rules of the game. And this strategy really relies on 3 core tools. First up, the axis of resistance. This is a whole network of proxy groups like Hezbollah and the Houthis. This lets Iran project its power and fight wars from a distance, keeping the conflict far away from its own borders. Second, a huge arsenal of ballistic missiles that can hit targets across the entire region. And finally, thousands of advanced suicide drones, which are cheap, they're effective, and they're incredibly hard to defend against when they come in huge numbers. And this gets to the real goal here. Iran doesn't have to win in the way we normally think about it. It just has to inflict so much pain, economic, military, and civilian, that the US and Israel decide that continuing the war just isn't worth the devastating price anymore. But even this really complex strategy doesn't exist in a bubble. A direct fight would unleash all these unpredictable factors, these wild cards that could totally change the course of the war for everyone. Yeah, conflict of this size wouldn't just be limited to land, sea, and air. It would instantly spill over into areas that affect the entire planet, from the global economy to cyberspace, creating chaos far, far beyond the actual front lines. So let's look at 3 big ones. In air defense, you've got these incredible systems like Israel's Iron Dome and the US Aegis. But can they handle a sustained attack of thousands of missiles and drones all at once? In the global economy, Iran could try to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which is a major choke point for the world's oil supply. That could cause a global energy crisis overnight. And then there's the digital space, where all sides would unleash devastating cyber attacks on everything from power grids to financial markets, with totally unpredictable consequences. So, when you combine the conventional imbalance, Iran's clever asymmetric strategy, and all these volatile wildcards, it really forces us to step back and rethink that central question we started with. I mean, is it really possible for any side to achieve a clean win here? When victory for one side could mean a completely devastated homeland, a shattered economy, and a destabilized world, the very definition of winning just gets blurry, and maybe even meaningless. The strategic reality here suggests that a full-scale war wouldn't be a story of victory and defeat. It would be a grim calculation of who survives. It would be a war where the best possible outcome is simply to be the one left standing. It's a sobering thought that, in this high-stakes standoff, we might be looking at a conflict with no winners at all, only survivors.